अस्सलामु अलैकुम। पिछले लेक्चर में हमने सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोसेस एश्योरेंस के हवाले से बात की थी और हम इस नतीजे पर पहुंचे थे कि सॉफ्टवेयर क्वालिटी को अचीव करने के लिए, हाई क्वालिटी सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए एक अच्छा प्रोसेस होना ज़रूरी है। सो लेट्स डिस्कस द प्रोसेस मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ दिस लेक्चर। Process management responsibilities include defining a process, measuring a process, controlling a process, and ultimately improving a process. ये वो चार aspects हैं process management के जो that these four aspects help and document what the current process is, where we want to go by executing and modifying the current process. What are the relationship between these four activities or four tasks will be shown to you by a picture which I will show you now. This picture, which is titled Process Management Responsibilities, defines the relationship between what is involved in defining a process, executing a process, measuring a process, controlling a process, and improving a process. Now what we will do is we will discuss each of these activities, each of these tasks. So what are the objectives of process definition? Design processes that can meet or support business and technical objectives. That is the prime objective of process definition. That is, we create those processes which meet or support business and technical objectives for which that process is to be used. Second, we need to identify and define the issues, models, and measures that relate to the performance of the processes. And thirdly, we need to provide infrastructures, that is the set of methods, people and practices that are needed to support software activities. तो process definition basically वो उन activities के ऊपर, उन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के ऊपर, उनके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ये हैं कि आप जो भी प्रोसेस यूज़ करना चाहते हैं अपनी बिजनेस और टेक्निकल नीड्स को मीट करने के लिए उनको डिफाइन करें। यू हैव टू इंश्योर दैट द सॉफ्टवेयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैज़ द एबिलिटी टू एक्सिक्यूट एंड सस्टेन द प्रोसेसेस। This requires that you have the necessary skills, you provide the necessary trainings, you acquire the necessary tools, you have the facilities, and finally you are willing to spend the funds that will be required to implement a process. Process को define करने से कोई change नहीं आएगी, process को execute करने से change आएगी। जैसा कि आपने उस पिक्चर में भी देखा था कि प्रोसेस को जब आप डिफाइन करते हैं उसके बाद फिर उसको एक्सिक्यूट करते हैं और इन सारी चीज़ों के लिए फंड्स की ज़रूरत होती है। जब आप प्रोसेस को एक्सिक्यूट करते हैं और उसके ऊपर एक्सपीरियंस आपको मिलता है, फिर आप प्रोसेस को मेजर कर सकते हैं। प्रोसेस को मेजर करने के क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं? नंबर 1, टू कलेक्ट द डेटा that measure the performance of each process, and also to analyze the performance of each process. जो भी process आपने पहले define किया है, फिर उसको आपने execute किया है, जब आप किसी process को execute करते हैं उसके बाद आप उसका data collect कर सकते हैं so that you can analyze the performance of the process that was executed. You can retain and use the data to assess process stability and capability. अब प्रोसेस को की एक स्टेबिलिटी होती है, कितना स्टेबल है, और वो किस किस्म के प्रोजेक्ट्स उसके ऊपर यूज़ किए जा सकते हैं, या क्या कैपेबिलिटीज़ हमें उस प्रोसेस को एग्जीक्यूट करने से मिलती हैं. We can use the data to interpret the results of observations and analyses. Very obvious objective है. To predict future costs and performance. The data is also useful to provide baselines and benchmarks. The data can be used to plot trends and to identify opportunities for improvement. For example, अगर बाज़ एस्पेक्ट से डेटा की वैल्यू लो है, तो this is an indication that there is need for improvement. And so you can use this data to identify opportunities for improvement. The next important step जो कि आपने उस डायग्राम में भी देखा था, वो था प्रोसेस को कंट्रोल कैसे किया जाए, या प्रोसेस को कंट्रोल करने से क्या मुराद है. प्रोसेसेस को कंट्रोल करना इम्पॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज कंट्रोलिंग अ प्रोसेस मीन्स कीपिंग देम विद इन अ नॉर्मल एंड इनहेरेंट परफॉर्मेंस बाउंड्रीज. दैट इज मेकिंग द प्रोसेस बिहेव कंसिस्टेंटली. किसी भी प्रोसेस की सक्सेस इसमें है कि उसको आप कंसिस्टेंटली एग्जीक्यूट कर सकें. प्रोसेस डिफाइन ही इसलिए किया जाता है कि स्टाफ की जो प्रोडक्टिविटी है वो कंसिस्टेंट रहे. ऑफ कोर्स एवरी प्रोसेस हैज़ इनहेरेंट बाउंड्रीज, और उसके उन बाउंड्रीज के दरमियान के उसमें उसको एग्जीक्यूट करना चाहिए. अगर वो बाउंड्रीज से बाहर निकलता है तो फिर दैट इंडिकेट्स सीरियस प्रॉब्लम्स. तो जब भी हम सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोसेसेस को एग्जीक्यूट करते हैं तो वी नीड टू कंट्रोल देम. दैट मीन्स वी नीड टू इंश्योर दैट दे परफॉर्म विद इन द इनहेरेंट बाउंड्रीज. अब कंट्रोलिंग a process has three things. Number one, there is a measurement aspect that you need to obtain information about process performance. This means that how did the process execute? How well did the process execute? The second step in this is detection, which means the analysis of the information to identify variations in the process that are due to assignable causes. अगर कोई ऐसी variations आती हैं किसी प्रोसेस में जिसको हम वजह बता सकें कि ये इस assignable cause से, इस वजह से ये वेरिएशन आई. मिसाल के तौर पे अगर हम, and I'm talking about non-software example here, अगर हम जून के महीने में पाकिस्तान के किसी प्लेन्स के एरिया में, लाहौर ले लें मसलन, लाहौर में नोट करें कि टेम्परेचर जो है वो 20 डिग्रीज पे है, जो कि नॉर्मल बाउंड्री से बाहर है. जून के महीना में लाहौर का टेम्परेचर 20 डिग्रीज डे टाइम में नहीं होता. लेकिन अगर किसी अनफोर्सीन अननोन वेदर पैटर्न की वजह से ऐसा हो जाए और शदीद किस्म की ओले पड़े, तो ये मुमकिन है कि टेम्परेचर गिर जाए. दिस टेम्परेचर ड्रॉप would be recorded and one can assign a cause to it. और cause ये है कि एक ऐसा weather pattern आया जिसने normal जो inherent boundary से temperature को निकाल दिया और drop कर दिया. So we can assign a cause to this variation or this deviation. सॉफ्टवेयर्स में भी इसी तरह होता है, और प्रोडक्टिविटी की इम्प्रूवमेंट को या प्रोडक्टिविटी लेवल्स के नीचे जाने को आप डिटरमिन करते हैं कि ये किन वजूहात से हुआ होगा. और फाइनली इसमें एक करेक्शन का एस्पेक्ट होता है कि यू नीड टू टेक नेसेसरी स्टेप्स टू रिमूव variations due to assignable causes from the process and to remove the results of the process drift from the product. अगर आप सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोसेस को एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं और उस एग्जीक्यूशन में आप ये डिटरमिन करते हैं कि प्रोसेस अपने नॉर्मल बिहेवियर से, नॉर्मल बाउंड्रीज से बाहर चला गया है किसी वजह से, और आपने उसको डिटेक्ट किया है कि एक इस वजह से, इस कॉज से आया है, तो फिर आपने उसको करेक्ट करना है. सो देयर आर 3 स्टेप्स ऑफ प्रोसेस कंट्रोल: मेजरमेंट, डिटेक्शन एंड करेक्शन. And one of the objectives of process control is that you want to determine whether or not the process is under control, that is stable with respect to inherent variability of measured performance. जब भी आप कोई नया प्रोसेस इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं, उसको डिफाइन किया, उसको एक्सिक्यूट किया, then you would want to ensure that that process is controlled while it is being executed. And you identify performance variations that are caused by process anomalies. यानी कि जो causes हैं उनको आप, उनकी वजह से जो variations हैं उनको आप identify करते हैं, उनको आप document करते हैं. ये वो objectives हैं जो कि process control के साथ attached हैं. And you also estimate the sources of assignable causes so that your process remains stable, that you try to avoid the causes in the first place. जाहिर है किसी कॉज के पीछे कोई एक्चुअल सोर्स होती है, सोर्स ऑफ एरर होती है, सोर्स ऑफ डिफेक्ट होती है. उस सोर्स को अगर आप एलिमिनेट कर दें तो देयर आर गुड पॉसिबिलिटीज़ कि जो प्रोसेस आपने डिफाइन किया है, जिसको आप एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं इन योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, will be stable. Once a process is under control, sustaining activities must be undertaken to forestall the effect of entropy. Without sustaining activities, processes can easily fall victim to the forces of ad hoc change or disuse and deteriorate to out of control states. कंट्रोल, प्रोसेस को कंट्रोल करना सिर्फ वन टाइम एक्टिविटी नहीं है, बल्कि एजुकेशन से, ट्रेनिंग से और इन्फोर्समेंट से उस प्रोसेस को प्रोजेक्ट्स के ऊपर अप्लाई करना चाहिए, सो दैट एवरीवन हु इज वर्किंग ऑन और यूजिंग दोज प्रोसेसेस गेट्स यूज्ड टू ऑफ देम, एंड व्हेनेवर दे आर डेवलपिंग सॉफ्टवेयर दे यूज दैट प्रोसेस. सो दिस requires reinforcing of use of defined processes through continuous management, oversight, measurement, benchmarking and assessments. ये जो मैंने अभी बताई हैं आपको बातें कि benchmarking है, assessments है, baselining है, ये assessment की मुख्तलिफ टेक्निक्स हैं जो कि जिनके अपने मुख्तलिफ ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होते हैं. इनमें बेंचमार्किंग सबसे ज़्यादा स्ट्रिक्ट है, जो कि इंडस्ट्री के साथ आप कंपेयर करते हैं आप किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को. सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर ऑब्जेक्टिव, डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हाट यू वांट टू डू विद योर प्रोसेस रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज़, यू वुड वांट टू कंटिन्यूसली असेस कि आपका प्रोसेस कितना सक्सेसफुल है. तो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट बात प्रोसेस कंट्रोल के लिहाज से ये है कि आप ना सिर्फ प्रोसेस को स्टेबल रखें बल्कि उसको यूज़ करें. और जब आप कंटिन्यूसली यूज़ करेंगे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में तो उसमें बेहतरी आएगी, उसकी स्टेबिलिटी में फ़र्क नहीं पड़ेगा। बेहतरी के क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं, यानी कि प्रोसेस इम्प्रूवमेंट के क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं? अंडरस्टैंडिंग द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोसेसेस एंड द फैक्टर्स दैट अफेक्ट process capabilities. Plan, justify and implement actions that will modify the processes so as to better meet business objectives. याद रखें, process improvement इसलिए की जाती है कि आप business objectives को बेहतर तौर पर मीट कर सकें। Organizations के, चाहे वो software organizations हों या नॉन सॉफ्टवेयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हों, उनके बिजनेस ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होते हैं। और जो भी प्रोसेसेस आप इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं, चाहे वो बिजनेस प्रोसेसेस हों, चाहे वो सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग प्रोसेसेस हों, उनका मकसद बिजनेस नीड्स को मीट करना होता है, बेहतर तौर पर मीट करना होता है। और एज डिफरेंट बिजनेस प्रैक्टिसेस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी प्रैक्टिसेस आर अडॉप्टेड, we need to continuously monitor if our processes are meeting those business objectives, or can we make progress, can we improve further so that the business objectives are met in a more efficient and effective way. So we need to assess the impact and benefits gained and compare with costs of changes made to the processes. So whenever we are trying to improve processes, we need to see कि जो फ़ायदा आप इन processes से हासिल कर रहे हैं उनको आप कंपेयर करेंगे उन costs के साथ जो कि उन processes के ऊपर अकर होती हैं, so that you can do a cost benefit analysis also. And one final thought that is very important for process improvement. Why we do process improvement? Process improvement should be done to help the business, to help meet the business goals and objectives, not for its own sake. Process improvement, doing things better, has always been goal of all, in all domains, in all industries. But ultimately, this should be driven to meet the business requirements. Let us now talk about certain process issues. We need to identify and clarify your business goals and objectives. You need to identify the critical processes. बाज़ organizations के लिए requirements engineering critical processes हैं, बाज़ के अंदर inspections हैं, depending on what problems are being faced. And you need to list or document the objectives of each critical processes. अगर आपने for example defect removal processes implement करने हैं तो उसके objectives document करें. Then you need to list or document the potential problem areas associated with the processes. And you need to group the list of potential problem areas into common areas or topics जहाँ आप उनको combine कर सकते हैं. These steps will help you in identifying process issues. You have to remember that implementing process-oriented activities in software organizations is not easy. Typically, you get resistance from all areas. You get resistance from management, you get resistance from technical staff. But we have to understand that improving processes certainly improves product quality. It improves product delivery time, but there are other factors which must also be considered. And that is, and I'll mention two factors here. Number one, the duration of implementing a process. Is it a long, drawn-out schedule for implementing a process? And second issue is the cost of implementing a process, or cost of introducing process. If the cost is prohibitive, or the process that has been selected is very expensive, then the benefits will be outweighed by the negatives or the costs. And so care must be given to ensure that process is introduced in a stepwise fashion. Certainly there would be some investment. Certainly there will be some time required to first define and then actually implement processes in an organization. But these two should not be prohibitively large. Let's see the 7 steps of software process improvement. It is important to note here that many authors and many researchers have addressed this problem or documented these steps in a variety of ways. This is one such way, or one such set of steps that can be followed to improve software process. The first is planning. You need to do good planning, what process you want to implement. Second is you need to gather data. Third step is analyze the findings, and based on that, the fourth step is to describe the ideal process, the process that you would want to use. The next step is implement the ideal process, followed by measurement of the progress, and finally you standardize the process. And so if you look at this set of 7 steps, and we have already discussed another way of process management, that certain things are common. You need to define what the process is. You need to implement that process. You need to measure your progress. And then you need to spread that across an organization by standardizing that process. And this is a continuous process improvement exercise that typically takes place in organizations which are interested in it. The software engineering community, both on the academic side and in the industry, has realized the importance of software process and improving software processes in the last 2 decades and so. And a number of process improvement programs have been proposed and are being used by organizations who are serious about developing high-quality software products. It is not possible to even mention all of the process improvement programs here. I'll mention and we'll talk about a couple of programs in this lecture and the following lecture. The famous software process improvement programs include Capability Maturity Model. Then the current version of that is CMMI, or Capability Maturity Model Integration. Then there are process improvement programs under ISO 9000, SPICE, Tech IT, Six Sigma, Total Quality Management, and there are others also. All of these programs are have focused on one aspect or other of software process improvement. ISO, for example, is very comprehensive. It deals with software and non-software process improvement aspects. CMM or CMM software, on the other hand, deals primarily with software. What we will do is we will talk about CMM software and CMMI and leave the others for you to explore on your own. Both of these approaches, CMM software and CMMI, which is capability, maturity, model integration, are based on the notion of software process models. So what is a software process model? A process model is a structured collection of practices that describes the characteristics of effective processes. Practices include those which have been proven by experience to be effective. So a process model is a structured collection of practices. They are not like loose collection of practices, but structured collection of practices. And the obvious question is, how is a process model used? A process model is used to help set of process improvement objectives and priorities, to help ensure stable, capable, and mature processes. These models are used as a guide for improvement of project and organizational processes, and they are used with an appraisal method to diagnose the state of an organization's current practices. So the first thing actually would be to determine where the organization is standing at this time or at any given time. And based on that current state, the objectives are defined as to where that organization wants to go. And a program is then initiated to take from the current state to the ideal state or to the desired state. So why is a process model important? A process model provides a place to start improving because we have documented our current state and we have documented our desired state. The benefit of a community's prior experiences. There is a body of knowledge that exists by using a process model that has also been used by others in the community. So it sort of works or provides a common language and a shared vision among organizations in the software community. And it also is a framework for prioritizing actions. And it's a way to define what improvement means for an organization. Why should we do it? That's the help we get by looking at the literature available from the community. So let's now discuss capability maturity model. Capability maturity model for software engineering was initiated in mid to late 80s. The CMM has now been replaced by CMMI. But it is important to discuss CMM and to do that, let's go back in history to 1984 and see what was the state of art of software in that year. More than half of large software projects were late in excess of 12 months. That is 1 year. So large software projects were late by 1 year. The average costs of large software systems was more than twice the initial budget. The cancellation rate of software systems exceeded 35%. That's a very large number. And the quality and reliability levels of delivered software of all sizes was poor. And so software at that time was the largest known business expense which could not be managed. So under these circumstances, the US government, which is the largest producer and consumer of software in the world, decided to fund a research facility to design processes for software. And research facility was created in University of Carnegie Mellon, Pennsylvania. It was named Software Engineering Institute. This is primarily funded by US Department of Defense to explore software issues, and especially topics associated with those areas in which the government was interested. And so Software Engineering Institute developed the Capability Maturity Model, or CMM, for software system as an assessment mechanism to determine where an organization's stand in respect to the criteria that they had developed. Initially, they had developed an assessment method, and after that, CMM for software was created. CMM for software was very successful. It has 5 maturity levels. They are initial, repeatable, defined, managed, and optimizing. So let's see what they are. So the 5 levels of software process maturity, at the initial level, they are unpredictable and poorly controlled processes. As you can see on the chart, it's the lowest level. At the second level, the organizations can repeat previously mastered tasks. They have certain disciplined processes. From level 2, the next level is defined, where processes are characterized, fairly well understood within the organization. Level 4 is managed, where process is measured and controlled. And level 5 is optimizing, where focus is on process improvement. So let's have a little bit of discussion on each of these CMM levels. The initial level, the organizations are characterized by random or chaotic development methods with little formality and uninformed project management. These are typically ad hoc projects which are managed in ad hoc fashion. Small projects may be successful, but larger projects often fail. And overall results are marginal to poor. CMM, the Capability Maturity Model, does not recommend any key process areas for this level. Most organizations in software community fall under or operate at initial level. Then we have CMM level 2, which is repeatable. Organizations have introduced at least some rigor into project management and technical development tasks. Approaches such as formal cost estimation are noted for project management, and formal requirements gathering are often noted during development. So you can see that organizations which are operating at repeatable level have at least practices like this incorporated into their daily work. And compared to initial level, a higher frequency of success and a lower incidence of overruns and cancel projects can be observed in those organizations which are at level 2 of CMM. And also it is noticed that some training is provided to managers and technical staff, and people become aware of professional growth and need for selecting and keeping capable personnel. CMM recommends key process areas at this level. So if you want your organization to operate at level 2, CMM recommends requirements management, software project planning, software project tracking and oversight, software contract management, software quality assurance, and software configuration management. Each of these key process areas has best practices under them, and more than 200 best practices are included in CMM software. At the third level, that is the defined level, organizations have mastered a development process that can often lead to successful large systems. So the success rate is getting better for large projects. Over and above the project management and technical approaches found in level 2 organizations, the level 3 organizations have a well-defined development process that can handle all sizes and kinds of projects. So not only the size is not an issue, but the domain and types of projects is not an issue, because these practices are being followed by the entire organization. CMM recommends those organizations which want to operate at level 3 should have the following key process areas. Organization process focus, where the entire organization is focused on following a process. Organization process definition is a key process area. Training program is a key process area, which means that adequate training for management as well as technical staff needs to be provided. Then there is software product engineering. Peer reviews are a very effective mechanism for quality assurance. Then we have integrated software management and intergroup coordination. These deal with managing and coordinating activities, for example, in software engineering group, in marketing, in system engineering group. The fourth level of CMM software is titled managed. Organizations have established a firm quantitative basis for project management and utilize both effective measurements and also effective cost and quality estimates. So if an organization is operating at level 4, this means that they are now actively measuring their activities, whether it deals with engineering aspects or management aspects. So key process areas recommended by CMM are software quality management and quantitative software management. The fifth level of CMM software is named optimizing. organizations are assumed to have mastered the current state-of-the-art software project management and development practices. This level was also called as nirvana of software engineering practices. Those organizations which are operating at level 5 are continuously improving and optimizing their activities. The key process areas recommended by CMM for level 5 organizations are defect prevention, technology change management, and process change management. The first is obvious, that's defect prevention. Technology change management and process change management deal with introducing new technology and new process activities at their daily actions or in their daily practices of software engineering. So it is expected that level 5 organizations are leading organizations. They lead the software industry in innovation, in introducing new technology and introducing new processes. Now you are seeing on the screen the key process areas of software capability maturity model. You have the 5 levels, and then you have the process categories. And these categories are documented as management, organizational, and engineering. If you look at the first level, the initial level, there are ad hoc processes. If you look at level 2, under management, you have requirements management, software project planning, software project tracking and oversight, software subcontract management, software quality assurance, and software configuration management. All the key process areas at level 2 fall under the management category or under the heading of management for process categories. This is important because most of the problems at initial level are caused by having little or no management activity. And the problems faced by organizations at initial level are lack of project management activities. So the CMM recommends that if organizations focus on key process areas which fall under management heading, they would be able to improve their processes substantially. The next level, that is level 3, is defined, and it has key process areas under management. Some of the key process areas are organizational, and some key process areas are engineering related. Those under management are integrated software management and intergroup coordination. The organizational key processes are organization process focus and organization process definition. And also the training program has to be organization-wide. And the engineering related key process areas are software product engineering and peer reviews. Level 4, which is managed, has 2 key process areas. Quantitative software management falls under the management heading or management category, and software quality management key process area falls under the engineering category. And the optimizing level, which is level 5, has 3 key process areas, and 2 of them are organizational process areas, while defect prevention is engineering key process area. And the organizational key process areas are technology change management and process change management. This was a very short introduction of CMM software. CMM software under each of the key process areas that we have discussed. Best practices. So CMM software is basically a collection of structured best practices which are found to be effective and beneficial within the software engineering community. So this was a very brief introduction of CMM. CMM, the impact of CMM cannot be gauged in one lecture. The software engineering community has benefited substantially after the introduction of CMM software. If you look at the literature, clearly the quality of the software products which operate at levels 1 to 5 varies. The organizations which operate at level 1 have the quality of their projects or products is poor as compared to quality of software products produced by organizations at higher levels. So for example, if we consider quality of products at level 1, several hundred projects were surveyed, and the average number of delivered defects is 0.75 defect per function point, and the defect removal efficiency runs from less than 70% to higher number, but the average is 85%. So when we talk about defect removal efficiency, we said that 85% is the minimum that good quality software product should have. So, at level 1, if your organization is operating at level 1, it is barely touching the minimum requirements for high quality software in terms of defect removal. If you talk about level 2 quality, the average defect removal efficiency improves from 85 to 87%, and the average number of defects delivered per function points reduces to 0.6. And so you can see that the quality of software products produced by level 2 organizations is better than the quality of products produced by organizations at level 1. And this trend follows on to level 3 and onwards. At level 3, the average defect removal efficiency is 89%. Again, here is an improvement. And the average number of delivered defects is 0.47 defects per function point, and that's a drop from 0.6 at level 2. And if you look at the defect removal efficiency at level 4 organizations, it is 94%, and the average number of delivered defects is 0.2 defects per function point. And at level 5, the defect removal efficiency average is 97%, and the average number of delivered defects is 0.1 defects per function point. So you can see that with each level in CMM, the quality of software products are improving with respect to defect removal efficiency. Again, would like to summarize that CMM software has been instrumental in creating an impact on organizations to give their attention in improving software processes. Although CMM software has now been replaced by CMM, or that is CMM, capability maturity model integration, but the impact that CMM software had cannot be ignored, or as we use better and newer improvement programs, the contributions made with the help of CMM software cannot be ignored, because fundamentally CMMI is standing on the contributions made by CMM software. And as new process improvement programs continue to be introduced in software engineering community, they will still benefit from the structured and methodical approach introduced by CMM software. So in the next lecture, we will talk about CMMI. So I take leave of you until that time. Thank you very much.